Hi there. I want to welcome you again to another episode of SNALD Podcast. This is called the SNALD Exclusive. And I posted it earlier that we'll be having the presence of Mrs Dotun Akande, the founder and the director of Patrick Speech and Language Center. So, right before I call her in, I would love to introduce her by reading a bio to every one of us. Alright, so Mrs Dotun Akande is the founder and director of Patrick Speech and Language Center, Ikeja, Lagos. It can rightly be said that she revolutionized the autism awareness campaign in Nigeria. Today, Patrick stands tall as the pioneer special needs center for education of children with autism, offering services such as speech, occupational, music, and behavior therapy. The center also offers social skills building and play therapy using best practices. Mrs. Dotun Akande, with her cerebral team, has successfully worked with and integrated over 50 children into mainstream school system and has given employment to 4 adults with autism, even as she plans a new school facility that can accommodate and help more children and adults. She qualified as a behavior analyst from the Florida Institute of Technology, USA. She is an advanced certified autism specialist, ACAS, with Patrick being the first Nigerian autism center to be registered with the International Board of Credentialing and Continuing Education Standard, IBCCES. She holds a diploma in school leadership from the Lagos Business School. Mrs. Dotun Akande, a Cherry Blair mentee, was also the Visco Woman for the year 2015 to 2017, an honor bestowed on her for the contribution she made to the growth of autism awareness and management in Nigeria. Mrs. Dotun Akande has also featured in the first Access Bank PLC W Power of 100 and Wimbies Inspired Me to featuring leading Nigerian women who has excelled in their various endeavors. Her desires for continuous learning and improvement led her to enroll in the John Maxwell Leadership Program to enable her continue her national advocacy for the differently able. Mrs. Dotun Akande is happily married with 3 children, and join me to welcome Mrs. Dotun Akande.
I'm fine, ma. Yes, ma. Ma, thank you so much for this opportunity. I want to say I'm grateful. God bless you, ma. Thank you so much for all you do for humanity. God bless you, ma.
Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm fine, ma. I'm very fine, ma. Same here.
For our children as well.
Thank you, ma. All right. So today we said we're talking about supporting parents and early intervention. And the reason why I really want us to talk about this is because just my few time in the field, I've noticed that there are a lot of misconception, especially for the parents, when they already get to know that they have a child with special needs, any form of special needs. And I've actually noticed that sometimes they tend to go to the wrong place and they get wrong information. And I feel like the earlier you get to know the right information, I think that helps you to become better for your child and even for yourself as well. So I just want us to talk about that, and I just have a few questions that I would just want you to talk about. So ma, before we go ahead, I would love that you just tell us
about
your journey so far. Thank you, ma.
Okay, thank you very, very much. God bless you.
Amen.
My own personal experience. So, I studied economics in university. I was working in the bank. I actually worked in a stockbroking firm for about before I moved on, to do other things. So when my son was diagnosed, and then I saw that nobody knew what it was. I started out by writing in the magazines. Then city people of that time. So when we started to write in the magazine, and the response that came out from that write-up was alarming and amazing. And the words that came out from people, he said, my son has been in the house for the past is it 7 or 8 years. Nobody knows I have a child that has a challenge, So I just said, so that means that I'm not the only one that's going through this. So I decided to set up practice at that point. So we went on to open the center. And when we opened the center, from all the people that have been commenting on your writings and everything, I thought the minute I opened the center would be full of people for we had nobody. About 6 months, maybe we had just about 7 children. People were coming, they would come, check it out. So,
wow.
Then they would go, this. Because nobody wanted to be associated with
Yes.
Nobody wanted to admit that, my child has, they could admit to you one-on-one, but where everybody will come and be seeing their children. No, they don't want it to. They want their children in mainstream school. Everybody wants in regular school. And you can't blame them. The stigma is very high in that instance. I mean, even at that time, the stigma was so bad that some people will say, there's something wrong with my child. It's just that it's finding it difficult talking. Those people that said that there's nothing wrong with my child, the children have now turned into adults now. They are still. So you can imagine if they had brought the children early, those that came early at that time, those that brought their children early, I can tell you that 70% of those that brought their children early at that time, the children did very well. They are all doing great in their different areas of strength. Wow. They all have one thing or the other there. They may not be in the university doing great work, but they are coping. Some of them are in art school. Some of them are in lab. You won't believe it. One of them speaks 3 languages.
Wow.
Speaks English, speaks French, speaks Dutch, speaks German. This is a boy that came to us that was not speaking. So you can imagine the level that some children would have been if they had accepted early. They found help early. The right help, the said it's swinging thing. They go to the wrong places. If they find the right help early, the turnout is fantastic. And another thing I want to say is that the journey is not a sprint. It does not end. It goes on. Just like every child you have. The journey with your child never ends until the day you pass away. But the journey goes on. There will be challenges. You will find ditches, you will find bridges, you will find heights, you will find beauty, you will find deeps, you will find, so along the way, it is a journey. And you must be prepared to walk that road. And people that gain the best success are those that walk the road together. That is, mother and father walking the road with the child. We found that when the two of them are in sync with the challenge of this child, and they walk that road together, there's a higher rate of success. So that is what I found in the journey. Also, when we started, there's this fact that what did they know in Nigeria about autism? What can they know? It's not in Nigeria. The international community have been doing it for years. They know more. Yes, they know more. But there's something about Nigeria that nobody is talking about. Our family orientation.
Yes.
Our ruggedness of saying, I'm not going to allow you to stay like this.
Yes.
There has to be something better you can do. Then our environment is accepting, is enriching. There was a girl they brought from Canada. When that girl is in the classroom, she could not sit for 1 second. She would jump and then she was on the medication from Canada. So we told the parents, let's trail off this medication. Just as a trial. Some children don't need medication, don't get me wrong. Let's just trail off this medication and see what she can do. And we trailed it off for some time. And we began therapy with her. We put her, that girl could play basketball like no man's business.
Wow.
We put her in sports. And after about 2 or 3 years, they took her back to Canada. The people in Canada could not believe it was the same girl that was there a couple of years ago. They were amazed at how much progress that young lady eventually, because she came to us as an adolescent. She wasn't a child. I think she was in her teens when she came to us.
Wow.
You know, there's something about our country. The first thing you need to do as a parent is where you are taking your child. What do they have? What have they achieved? How have we been able to do? So what we did, talking about the journey, is that we decided that yes, we really don't know much about it. So we started bringing people that knew about it to come and train us. So they were coming to train us, but we did not allow them to stay to work with us. We, the Nigerians, did the work. What does that tell you? Our intellectual ability and our ability to retain information and able to support our children using our cultural practices goes a long way. Because all the training they gave us, some of them we couldn't use because it did not pertain to our culture. It was not culturally inclined. We had to tweak it a little bit. So when they say, oh, what program do you run? We don't run any program. We run the child's program. That's what we run at market. We run whatever program that child is able to adapt to. That's what we run. Oh, do you do ABA? We use some principles of ABA. But we don't do fully. You don't need to be an ABA specialist to be able to work with the children. Because what happens sometimes is that when these children have the ability to go into our facility and they are able to trust, if you put the word underline it in capital letter, trust the person they are working with, and the parents are willing to trust the process. It's a process, and it's never ending. There's nobody has the answers to what is it. We're all working together with the children. That child under your care must be your doctor. He's the one that will lead you through the path he wants to walk. So are you willing to walk that path with him? Are you willing to look deep and not look at his challenges, but find that strength that child possesses, and then you walk that road with that child to the place of recovery?
Wow, thank you so much. This is really, really very, very well for me, really, because I get to understand you talking about we're using our own cultural form to work with these children. That is really much. And you talk about the father, the mother coming together to work together to make this work. I think I would dive into a family orientation. So as a special need therapist that I am, you go to a home and you just have to work with the child, let's say 6 hours in a week, which is still very little. And while you are living as a therapist, you tell the parents, this is what I do. This is what I expect you to help me to do. But tell them, oh, please kindly do this while I'm absent so that this will also help the child. And you come back and it still looks as if you are still on the same spot. And obviously they expect you to perform that miracle in 1 month. Probably when you start working with your child. And in 1 month, the child must be talking. The child must know how to go to the toilet. The child must know how to, all the skills must be complete. But how do we cope with this? Because knowing fully well that, like you said, we need to have the father, the mother, in fact, almost everybody in the family to get involved in this early intervention. So how do we help this? How do we go about it?
Okay, the first thing is that when you go into the home, do you usually have a meeting with the parents? Do you ask for their expectations? You ask for their expectations. If it cannot be met immediately, if somebody tells you that, I want my child to be able to speak, are you ready to walk this journey with me? It's not going to be a long journey. It's not going to be a short journey. It's going to be a long journey. Are you ready to walk with me? Oh no, in 1 month, you just must back up. I tell them, don't promise what you cannot deliver. They keep asking us, Mrs. Akande, my child comes to Patrick's house. I said, I can never tell you how long. Because even I don't know how long. Because there are many factors that will affect how long. The first factor is acceptance. Have you accepted that something is wrong? The second factor is love. Do you love this child enough to be able to walk this road? It's a long journey.
Very long, man.
To walk this road with us. As we are working together with the child, you need to be involved. Are you willing to give your time from time to time? Come and sit in therapy during the times we are doing therapy. Come and see what we do, so that when I'm gone, when I'm not here, you can practice some of these things with the and then they say, I'm so busy. That's what you get. And then you say, yes, I'm Mr. This money that you're asking for, that's what we are going to work for now. We have to work to be able to pay for this service, which is true. In a civilized environment, the government takes care of the children with special needs.
Yes.
But in an environment where the typical child has not even eaten 3 square meals, where is the government coming in to support the children? That can help you help this child. Because the end goal is in the best interest of the child. That's why we're here. That's why we do what we do. That's why we love what we do. In the best interest of the child. I mean, the little progress you can see on the few times that have come is because of the intensity that have been able, the consistency and the intensity that I've been able to use to support this child in his area of need. Are you? So you sit down with them, have a meeting at the beginning, have that meeting, and let everybody be there. Let the mother be there, let the father be there. I doff my hat to you people that go into the homes. Once they say, Mrs. Akande, we want home therapy, I don't do it. Very fast, I don't waste time. I just say, we have, because in the home, you are the speech therapist, you are the behavioral therapist,
yes,
you are the so you see, but in the center, we have different people doing everything. We have the specialists there. Specialists are there. I mean, so for you guys, I love my heart for you, because you have to learn all the skills. That's why we do this specialist therapy training for therapists, because we know that when you go into the home, you combine all together. It shouldn't be, but that's the way it is. That's where we find ourselves in the Nigeria of today. So that meeting will be good if everybody is present. We can all share our views, our expectations are defined and met. We now draw the goal together. This is the goal, this is where we want to, and to achieve this goal, we need so, and you state what you need to achieve the goal. And then if it's not achieved, then you let them know that it's possible that we will not be able to achieve this goal at this certain time. We have to redefine and reassess the process. Now, what do I mean by that? What process did we put in place? How were we delivering the therapy and the activities that we are giving to this child? What was his reaction? Was he able to attend? Was his attention intact? How can we build that? All those things you need to, put it in place. Once they see that you know your onions, I'm sure they will know how to be able to do. And tell them, if you're not involved, the process will be longer. And I say something at every point in time. Every time I have the opportunity to speak to parents, time is not our friend.
At all.
Time is not our friend. 1 hour with the child is not enough. We need 15 hours with that child, teaching, looking for every teachable moment to spend with that child. Because our children have the gift of remembering, of being able to recall some of these things. We need to constantly put it in. Repetition and consistency is the best way to teach our children whatever we want them to learn. So 15 hours in a day is not enough. Every opportunity to teach, to give that child the opportunity to learn something, we throw it in through daily living activities, through going to school, through feeding, through sleeping time. Every time is a time of teaching.
Wow. Thank you so much.
All the people that go home.
Thank you, ma. Okay, so my next question is about young parents or probably new parents that are just getting to know about their child diagnosis. And I've noticed that, like we all say, Google is your friend, Google is your friend, Google is your friend. But somehow, because I also visit Google to get better at what I do, let me see how they do it this way. And I noticed that sometimes the information on Google is very, very overwhelming. And amazingly, I think I met with a parent some times back, and I asked her, "Oh, have you assessed your child?" She said, "Yes, she does this. She's da 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 da." That means that she's autism. That she just says she's autistic like that. And I was like, "Oh, please, can I get to see the assessment result to get to know what's going on?" Then it was eventually she said, "No, I read it on Google." I said, "No." That's a very wrong. Okay, because you read on Google that if the child screams, if the child does not sleep, if the child does not have eye contact, that means the child is autistic. I said that's a very wrong diagnosis. So get a proper one to do. So what will you advise for parents that Google is their friend and they get to go to Google to go and get their information, and Google will always give you a plus and minus. It will increase your fear. And sometimes it will even help you minimize the problem, make you say, "Oh, it's not that deep." So what will you advise to parents that does this all the time? Google. But let me hear from you.
There's some aspect of it that can help them. But majorly, the first thing that needs to happen once you get a diagnosis is make sure, once you notice something is wrong, not even get a diagnosis. Once you notice something is wrong, go and get a diagnosis. No Google or therapist can give you a diagnosis. A diagnosis is done by your pediatrician, by your medical doctor. What a therapist and even what we do at Patrick's is assessment of needs. So there are times that parents cannot get diagnosis. They say, "Oh, I can't find a pediatrician that's ready to give me a diagnosis." So okay, you say, "Okay, what we can do for you while you search for that pediatrician is to give you an assessment of needs." So we now look at area are you looking at with your child? What are the challenges? What are you looking at? What is your worry? So you say, "Oh, my child is not talking, my child walks on tippy toes, my child cannot sit for more than 1 second." So you begin to write down the areas of needs. So for my child is not speaking, you know that you need to do a communication assessment or a speech assessment. My child is not attending, you need to do a behavior modification assessment to look at where is the child is, and then you now look at the child's attending skills, and you now look at the child's level of awareness of his environment. You now look at the child's sensory needs. You look at the child's learning style to find out how does he learn. Does he learn rote? Does he learn by cramming or rote learning, or does he learn by activities, or does he learn from experiences? Does he learn sitting down? Does he learn the mat? Does he learn in the playground? So you have to know what learning style, what you need to put in place for that particular child for you to be able to go in to support that child. So you do a needs assessment, and from that needs assessment, you draw up your plan. Oh, we are going to attend to this, and this. And your plan must not be too long. It must be short and precise and smart. It must be specific. It must be measurable. It must be attainable. It must be reliable and time bound. Oh, after about 3 months, we can sit down and look at it again. Where are we on this map? And then we reassess. Oh, we see this. There's something wrong here. There's something wrong. So you find out from that needs assessment. And the first thing, once the needs assessment has been done, is now for you to look for a support group. Support group is of paramount importance because parents that have walked that road before can guide you. That is when you now look at other things. What is the child eating? And then you now see, do I need to do a blood test to find out if my child is allergic to any one of the things that we're looking at in this? So that now gives you another perspective to what other parents are facing, where they can get some of the food that they say, "Oh, my child is allergic to wheat, so does not drink milk, or try almond milk." You say, "Okay, where do I get almond?" That's where parents support comes to play. So that support group is of paramount importance. And once you cannot get a diagnosis, you have gone to a place of repute where best practices is being practiced. You have gone to a place where they know what they are doing, right? You ask for the person in charge. You are allowed as a parent to ask for the qualification of that person that's going to work with your child. Very important. Ask for the qualification. If If possible, ask for referral. Let's give you a parent that he or she has worked with before, and then ask, how was this person with your child? Because I'm trying to get her to work with my child. Is it possible? Is it, have that in place before you now introduce your child to that individual. Wow. You sit down, you draw up the plan, and then you must continuously, at every point in time, evaluate those plans. They change. The children change. They get better. Yeah. Sometimes they get worse. And then you need to find out what happened between this time and this time. What happened? Look at it. Something happened. She wasn't doing this before. What kind of behavior am I seeing? What is it replacing the behavior I changed? What is it replacing it with? Our children are very good at replacing behavior. Yes. If you don't replace the right thing, they will replace it themselves with the wrong thing. So you need to find out when you are doing behavior change, you need to also be guided with the fact that once I change this behavior, I have to quickly replace it with the appropriate behavior before the child takes cue and replaces it with another behavior that you don't want to see. So all these things matter when you are working with new parents. And then I was somewhere the other day and they asked me, Mrs. Akande, do you have a parent's manual? I said, no. She said, very important. And then I sat back and thought about it. It's very important. Once you have new parents, give them a manual. Let them read it. Even it's good for our own environment and our own society also to look at a parent's manual. It must be short because we don't like to read it. Because
we don't read. Yeah.
So it's better for you to even have maybe something they can hang in their wall from time to time. A parent's manual, what to expect when you have a child with autism, what you need to look out for. So these are things that we can also do to support the parents in their places of need.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you. So you talk about a support group. So I think that is where this question will come in, because obviously having a child with special needs is actually a very, very big duty. Let me put it that way. So, and I've been opportune to also meet parents that are very, very emotionally overwhelmed, having them. And what I just want to ask you is, what advice, what would you like to tell parents that are emotionally overwhelmed having a child with special needs?
The first thing I want to say to them is it's not a death sentence. It's not an impossible task. The children do well if we take the right direction. If we walk the right road and we give the right support, and our expectations are not overwhelming, our children do very well. If we walk with them in their place of strength, they do very well. If we are able to love them unconditionally without judgment, they do very well. If we are able to accept some of their intricacies, some of their what we call the isms. Some parents are bothered by their walking on tippy toes. I tell parents there's nothing wrong with that. It's not the kind of behavior you want to change. You want to change inappropriate behavior, behavior that is not socially acceptable. That will be your first goal. And the minute you start changing those behaviors, all the other isms will fall out. So don't bother yourself about the things that are not attainable. Look at the things you can change. Start from there and take one day at a time. If you could change this child overnight, my sister, you won't need anybody. You will change it. There is absolutely little you can do as a parent. So your goal, find what that child can do and enjoy, and walk that journey with that child. It is not a death sentence.
Ma, thank you so much. Thank you so much for gracing us with your time. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us as well. Thank you so much. I want to say thank you. In fact, the last statement is everything for me. It's not a death sentence. Like, it can definitely get better. Ma, thank you so much. We are grateful. Myself, a SNALD podcast of my community, we are so grateful to have you around. Thank you so much, Ma. God bless you.
Thank you for all you do. Thank you for this podcast.
Thank you, ma. I'm grateful, ma. Have a blessed day, ma.
And continue to do great work with our children.
All right.
God will give you the support, and if you need any help, we're always here for you.
Thank you, ma. I'm grateful. Thank you so much, ma.
Right.
God bless you, ma. Bye, ma.
Bye.
Yes, ma.
All right. What more do you want to listen to? Really, this is one of the best person in Nigeria that have handled children with special needs, and you could hear early intervention is very key. Time is not our friend. If you notice any of the symptoms, if you notice an unusuality with your child, you can get to your pediatrician, get to know what is going on. And when you get that, the journey just began, and you can also get help. Get help, seek help early, look for people that will help you. That's why we are here for you. Yes, that's why we are here for you. And you can reach out to us at any time. If you have any question, any worries, anything that you think is bothering you, you can also reach out to us on our social media page. You can send me a message on my WhatsApp 08036332045. You can also visit my Instagram page at Pretty Mayflower Oluwatosin Kazim. You can also send a mail to us at tosin@zestacard.com.ng, and I will see you on the next podcast. Thank you so much for staying true, and do have a lovely day.